the mental routine. So you want to build a routine, a mental routine of what you do during a match. So before a match, what do you do? A lot of the books in sports psychology talk about visualization. I tried it for a little bit. It never really worked for me. It was okay, but I never really stuck with it. I didn't find much value in it, or didn't make that much of a difference. But having a mental routine definitely did. So before a match, I make sure my wraps are all ready and blah blah blah. It's the normal routine. You're reminding your body and your mind it's now time to compete. You're getting back into that habit. You want to have that same pre-match routine possibly as you'd have a pre-practice routine. So you practiced your routine. You're reminding your body and you're focusing on, this is the task we're going to do now. Stop thinking about talking to your friends. Now this is what we're focused on. It doesn't matter what your friends were saying, whether they were bugging you, maybe you're having a fight. That's all gone. Now it's time to focus. Now it's time to play. And it's all that routine it gets you back into that channel, into that focus, so that you can perform at your best. Routine before each serve, I have the same routine. Before each serve, if I have the ball, and I often chose the side that had the balls in it so I could handle the ball, I'd get the ball, look at it, focus on the grit of the ball, and hand it over if it was their serve. If it was mine, I'd look at it, focus on the grit, and then put it down. And then even focusing on the grit when it's even down there. And then even having the same routine about 5-bar wise, for me, it was always reminding myself to take more time because I just always had issues with pressure and time and how much time I had. So it was always about, okay, I'm gonna do 6 tosses before I read. So I get it, I'm gonna do 6 tosses. I'm gonna make those tosses look like I could pass. I'm gonna be paying attention to what they're doing, but I'm not gonna pass against it. But then during the last 4 seconds of it, now I'm reading, now I'm gonna react, now I'm gonna execute. And vary when you do that. So like next one might be like after 2 tosses. I noticed every time they kind of sit on the wall because they don't think I'm gonna pass. So I know after 2 tosses, I can go lane. That kind of, every time you get the ball, you have a plan, what it is you're going to do. And then you can either be brutal with it and stick to it no matter what you see, or you can make a very quick adjustment because you know what you're doing. You're like, I'm going lane, but they're not giving me lane. They're not giving me lane. Okay, down brush lane or down brush wall. That looks like a lane, but it's a down brush. So that because you know what you're doing, you know what you're looking for, and the option, if that's blocked, should come quickly. And if you can build that into your plan and your thought thinking as to what it is you're going to do on that one possession, then that'll be a lot easier as well. I was never able to have my option and then the backup. My backups just came naturally. But sometimes it would have been nice to have an actual fixed, conscious backup, knowing, okay, I'm gonna go test the double tap, and my double tap test, I always like double tap I do that double tap on my 5-bar. I'm trying to read what kind of reaction, because that double tap is a break in the constant toss. My toss is very like toss, toss, toss. The double tap's like changes the timing up, and then there's reaction there sometimes. If there's reaction, how did they react? Did they bail to the wall? If they bail to the wall off that reaction, that tells me they're blocking wall. So great, I can go lane. Or if I did the double tap, they might have bailed to the wall, realized it, and then flailed back out into the lane. So then I know I can double tap down brush. So there's always, no matter what I saw, there was an option I could go to. So I was like, I'm gonna test that double tap, see what they do, double tap, then do 2 or 3 more tosses, and then double tap, do what I saw. Because that double tap is more of it's a change, it's a reaction on them that they might not realize that they're actually reacting that way. So then you can take advantage of it, as opposed to a live read where it's like, I'm just waiting for lane. There it is. Like, that's a live read where, doing a big movement and test and then hoping to see it again is kind of like a pre-read situation. But those are both good ways to actually read and try to decide what it is you want to do. So my mental routine, like every time before I serve the ball, I think I talked about it before on the practice one, was I grounded myself. This is talk about physical grounding. This is something a lot of sports psychologists talk about, ways to physically have something to push against, to ground yourself, to focus. Again, it's reminding your body it's time to play. It's going to focus in on that. Mine was always push on my ring, because family is the most important thing to me. So it's like, that was my reminder, and it relieved a lot of stress. Again, I looked at the ball, the grit within the ball, just something to focus on. It sounds kind of wanky, but it works, because it distracts the mind away from the negative thoughts. Like, the mind to me is what I've discovered is like a bored teenager. If you don't give it something to do, it's going to get in trouble. So the mind, at least my mind, if I didn't give it something to do, something to focus on, it went to the stress places. It went to, oh, who's watching? Oh, you're going to lose to so and so. Oh, who do I play next? It went to all the places where it shouldn't. So I needed to focus it and keep it busy. And I kept it busy by doing all these self-talk, physical reminders, positive things, routines. These are all the things the sports psychologists talk about to get in the zone, to play with in the flow, all of that kind of terminology. They're all, and I've read a bunch of them, and the common thing they have between them is they're all about essentially focusing the mind on what it is you want to do, or focusing the mind back to a place of comfort. So it's essentially telling your mind where it should think. It seems rather obvious, but a lot of so mental routine on every rod. So not even on the 5 rod, even on the 3 rod. Like I said, my mental routine before I get on the 3 rod, set up, relax my arm. That's my mental routine, and now I'm going through with whatever the plan is now. Is it now I'm going to actually wait for last time I shot push, and they were trying to follow my rock, so now I'm going to go push off timing push. Will that work? Like I'll read it. I'll be reading for it, looking for it. I'm not just doing it because that's what I decided. Sometimes you can do that, but no, most of the time it's like you have an idea, you're testing it. Is it there? You're looking for it. If it is, confirmation, good. You wait for it to show up again, and then you execute it. And then sometimes you have to remind yourself to change the timing of when you're going to do that, because like that little routine I just went through there when I explained the thought process, that's can be done and often done in the same timing. So you need to change that. Sometimes you just add in, okay, I'm going to sit here for 3 seconds. Okay, now through the routine. Now next time in 1 second. Now through the routine, so that you're changing the timing of when it all ends up, but internally you're still doing the same routine, but they don't know that you've changed, added a buffer of time or something like that. And 2 rod, same thing. When I got back on the 2 rod, get it set up, get it my push side 2 rod, and then I'd have to relax my hand. That was my key. I had little factors, little reminders of little things and these were discovered through things that allowed me to execute better through practice. And so then they came out in games and became my routine.